Okay, hey folks, we're back with more Devil May Cry 2. If I pick Dante, is that a completely different save file? Okay, I think it must be. Save data has been auto-loaded. Where we left off. Had some controller issues, but they're working now, so I don't know what was going on. Why it was giving me so much trouble. There she goes. Controls in this game are pretty janky. I didn't realize it at the start of the last episode, but this game has a really low Metacritic score. And is pretty well known for being janky. I guess the series recovered after this game was released. Okay. Out of the water. Thank goodness. Try switching off this weapon because it kind of sucks. Cutlassier. Amulets we have to change occasionally. There's the Aqua Heart and the Aerial Heart. We have to use Devil Trigger sometimes to get around without it being annoying. There we go. Thanks. Turn it up. Don't worry. That's the word they came up with that starts with D. Like, this is the only way to combo down here. Like, I don't know what a cool player would look like in this stage of the game, right? You only really have that one underwater mine attack anyway. Corrupt Gel. This game has several issues, but chief among them is the conveyance is not very good. Like, it's really hard to tell what the game wants you to do at any given time. It's like, do you need to clear all the enemies in this room? We are getting some unique enemies that are spawning the longer we fight in here. Hey Generic, how you doing? If you watch episode 1, you can see me play this game for a solid 30 minutes not knowing that it's infamous for being bad. I think these guys are just infinitely respawning. I don't think I'm supposed to fight them. Alright, let's see, look around. It's interesting because even Devil May Cry 1 nailed this concept. of like having a room where you had to kill all the enemies to progress. There was usually some kind of feedback right as you loaded in that was like show you the door and show all the enemies spawning and be like, oh, okay, those things are connected. But this is like the 5th or 6th map we've been on where it's not clear if we're supposed to fight things or if they're just respawning for no reason or if they're respawning to like supply me with things, right? I might already have to look something up. We'll see, unless if someone's super familiar with Devil May Cry 2 and knows what to do in this water pit. I even left last episode, I'm like, this is the beginning of a new chapter, starting from the beginning, something you're gonna need to worry about, it'll be fine. Start from a level checkpoint. Reflect my power. Okay, hitting it with a sword doesn't do it. Let me review what my abilities are here. This attack while in Devil Trigger, choose swim in water, standard swords, fire underwater rapidly. Blocking doesn't do it. We just confirm that I'm not actually supposed to attack it. Hitting it with other things doesn't seem to work. Do I have to be in Devil Trigger mode? Is that why there's an infinite number of enemies? Okay. That has like never come up before. This is why there's an infinite number of underwater enemies below here. And you have to do it 3 times with no feedback that you succeeded the first 2 times. Yikes. Pretty comparable to the first one, I think. Okay, these guys are infinite. I'm not actually supposed to fight them. Roger. But I also can't go back below the well. Where does it want me to go? This game is incredible. And not like the good incredible, like I am incredulous playing it. Ooh, orb fragment. Alright. Yeah, it doesn't want me to surf it or go down there. I think there's a what happened video about this game. Maybe I should watch after we beat it. Okay. That was so close to the entrance. Like, why did they even have the jellyfish spawn in the first place? It would have been trivial to just take you out of the water after you hit the switch. Yeah, playtime in Spectacle Brawlers is highly variable depending on how much you're struggling. love how it defaults me to the significantly less useful weapon when I get underwater, right? Like the dart gun is much better. It's still kind of awful to do. It doesn't feel great. So I'm just holding down the X button, and I'm not getting my don't worry combo. Like I said, I want to watch a like badass like max score speedrun of this game, all S rank. Like, what does this game look like when you're playing it well? You can kind of imagine it in, you know, Bayonetta or Devil May Cry 1. You're like, oh, okay, I can imagine myself doing the combos better, dodging better, you know, never getting hit, maxing out the combo. But I have a feeling that that room pretty much just looks like ignoring all the enemies or using that dart gun. Light a blue flame, and then the way will be opened. Imagine if this had been Resident Evil. Okay. What? I have a certain amount of time to kill all of the little circles. Circles exist to give me Devil Trigger because I need Devil Trigger to progress. It must be what it is. Okay. Yeah, it's really interesting that Devil Trigger was an optional thing that made boss fights easier if you managed it well in the previous game. In Devil May Cry 2, it's an actual progression ability, so they keep having to putting you in these weird rooms where there's like dozens of enemies. Okay, range attacks don't hit these things at all. They also don't seem to drop any Devil Trigger or anything. So maybe I'm not supposed to destroy all of them? Maybe I'm not supposed to use Devil Trigger to get out of this room? I don't think I ever had to look anything up in Devil May Cry 1. Yeah, right. What does that have to do with light a blue flame, you think? Star Trek movie problem where it's every even game? Well, I'm down with just destroying all of the orbs, but like... that doesn't seem to connect... What? Does anyone have a theory as to what happened? Why are there water pillars? Were like some of the red flames turning into blue flames each time I killed an orb? That must have been what happened, that every orb I killed. So why were they even like disappearing if I could just kill them at my leisure? God, the controls here are something else. The game was not designed for this kind of platforming, I'll tell you. In fact, Devil May Cry 1 had borderline like scripted jumps, where it's like if you were facing the right way, your character would just jump even if the distance didn't make sense. Bitch. Is it closer forward? I've got a real depth perception problem. You know what we should do? We should make these platforms translucent. It's just the original game. It's for the PC, but it's not changed in any way. Is it just... Hey, first try! Oh my god. Look at all the effort they put into naming these enemies, too.
try.
Did game designers from the 80s fall into a time warp and get in charge of this game? Yeah, it's like they just grabbed some NES developer that was in like cryogenic storage or something, woke them up. Hey, can you make Devil May Cry 2 for us? They've just taught me that I can break these things by kicking them. Why are they even here if I... Let's see. Swords. You could increase the power of your sword. I'm just gonna save up for the sword upgrade, I think. Yeah, I don't think I've played a game with level design this puzzling before, right? Hey, how you doing, Washu? I don't think I got to talk to you about this during the last episode, Washu. Have you played Devil May Cry 2 before? Do you have... What's your opinion of it? Plutonian. It always wants to default me to that little mine thing. I'm actually kind of surprised that the series didn't get shuttered after this one. So, like, what's the timeline? Where does Resident Evil 4 fit in between or around Devil May Cry's 1 and 2? Yeah. I thank you for putting it on the schedule. It's really important context, I think, for what was happening with Capcom and what was happening with just Devil May Cry in general at the time, right? Capcom's such an interesting developer, like, they can completely fucking nail it, and they can do the complete opposite of nailing it really easily. Resident Evil 4 is before Devil May Cry 2, and slightly before Devil May Cry, after Devil May Cry 2, and slightly before Devil May Cry 3. Okay. Where does... What was the Resident Evil game that was released before that? Was that Code Veronica? The main dev of the series now only jumped on at the last moment to make the game even more functional. So, like, what we're playing was, like, coming in to save the day? Wow. Code Veronica 0. Okay. So, this wasn't the result of RE4 hubris, because it came after this.
Did you find what you were looking for?
Yes. Now we can stop Arius's ambition.
Whatever.
But actually,
Whatever.
I do not deserve this power. Bring this to Mathieu for me. Please. I've got something that I need to take care of.
Okay. The story in Devil May Cry 1 is kind of bizarre and tough to follow. Like it comes at you in weird spurts. This one's it's like that, but imagine that they just like randomly deleted 70% of the cutscenes or something. To prove its own identity, the Protector points a blade toward the decayed king. The least threatening enemies you've ever seen in an action game. Yeah, it's... Like I said, once we beat this, I want to watch a speedrun.
For a defect, you show promise. But did you really think you could deceive me?
Like a max score, max rank, S rank speedrun.
I'm Lucia. Don't call me Kai.
Then why did you come here?
Oh my god.
Let me. You seek my death.
Die!
Sorry. I love it. It's my favorite thing in the world when you can see the screenplay text, right? Or you can see the stage direction. And then, like, what they actually ended up doing. We got this a lot in Deadly Premonition as well, with, like, you know, creepy, giggling cherubs in a room, and it, like, doesn't work out the way they intended it to at all. And then there's a boss fight. We just left the room and walked to this guy's office, I guess, off screen, off camera. Oh my god, stop defaulting me to that weapon. The fuck? Okay, that's kind of a cool attack. I think I have healing, don't I? Hold on a sec. Okay, I can try using Healing Heart, but I should probably heal right now regardless. That recovers a small amount of vitality. It literally recovers all of my health. I love how much this guy just kind of stands still and waits. Oh, now he's a devil man. No, now there's a devil man in the room. Okay. I think they're here for me to build Devil Trigger or something. Manos, the handsome fate of AAA video games. So, I'm trying to think, like, what are bad AAA games we've played on stream? There's Sonic 06, Resident Evil 6, and then this one. This one's mostly functional. I guess it's bad in a similar way to Resident Evil 6 being bad, where it's mostly baffling. Like, I'm not, like, glitching into the wall. Like, I can play the game. It's not like Sonic 06 where things just aren't working, you know? Switch targets, dude. I left a note to myself that I have to press right trigger to drop target, because the game often wants you to target the wrong thing. I think this game does feels less functional than sitting on the table. Shoot, that's actually kind of a cool animation. Give it credit for that. It feels less functional than RE6, more functional than Sonic 06. Him sitting on the table sipping, but then like you can still stagger him off the chair with like some throwing knives. I don't think the dialogue has anything to do with what makes this Sonic 06 or Resident Evil 6 it's questionable, right? Like, it's definitely icing on the cake, but...
You lose.
And then just, like, instant cut to black at 0 health. Yeah, the lack of conveyance is... That part's surprising. We generally knew where to go in Resident Evil 6, and even in Sonic 06 for the little we played of it.
Shortly. You will live to see that.
Mario 6 is Oscar-worthy dialogue. Yeah, in comparison.
That's just a piece of crap.
Oh, Arcana.
Here's another 3 for you.
Is this game canon?
No!
Or after this, do they just pretend like this didn't happen? It's like Heihachi.
Crap like that doesn't interest me. But... your swan song will.
And then there was a battle that I'm not playing as Dante, right?
Win. Someone is holding you back.
Forget about me. Kill Arius.
Don't worry. I've got you.
They acknowledge it, massively downplay it. Characters want to ignore it in universe. Interesting. Okay. Like, how do you get an S on that? Oh. I guess I could imagine for that particular fight, I could see getting an S on the combo, maybe. Clear time got me an S, though.
Save me. I was created by him.
Every hero has a weakness.
But the ritual was activated because of me.
There's still time.
We have until the sun is completely eclipsed. But how are you going to
They've
enter
shaded.
the building? The entrance is...
Where there's a will, right?
Calling it the old lady is Dante.
Yes, it is true that we are not tied by blood.
You're receiving the same place at the same time. That's not actually true.
Bound by history and experience, which is much deeper than blood. Now go.
History and experience is deeper than blood.
I have passed on
What?
to you. You are my daughter.
Thank you, Mother.
Okay. 4 lights will open the sealed door. We'll also invite the creepy to play. The creepy of all the words to use, right? It's supposed to be this like badass looking like biblical text on the stage loading screens. Abyss Goat. So, okay, I need to event this. I don't know what it is, but did Devil May Cry come up with you can jump in the air and then attacking in the air lets you do aerial combos forever? Or is there another series that kind of pioneered that first? I know that God of War, the original God of War, copies it quite a bit. I mean from like a gameplay, like, brawler perspective. Like, the basic idea is that it should be normal to you that when you jump and press the attack button against an enemy, but only against an enemy, you can stay in the air for longer as long as you're mashing it. The physics of that are... some game series pioneered that, right? Ooh, but it's slowly intensifying. You need to release 3 more powers in order to reach the demon world. Okay, thanks. Thanks for the text. I think it worked fine in Devil May Cry 1 and also in both Bayonetta games. But I'm just starting to think that I don't like that, and I need to think about it more and put my finger on what I don't like about it. I also don't like it in Kingdom Hearts. I don't like it in the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Prefer to avoid it if I can in, like, Bayonetta games. If I'm able to fight on the ground, I'd rather than do this air combo thing. Old fighting games may have had it. But I also don't know why, like, I could see why a game coming up with this concept, why it would, like, take the world by storm the way, like, cover mechanics and regenerating health did, right? So limit on what you could do if you don't have a rejump mechanic. Combo is always destined to drop. Yeah, and I think maybe the way you're supposed to do it is you're supposed to combo, and then on the way down, like, throw some knives, and then once you get on the floor, throw some knives to keep it going, and then jump again. Like, it actually wasn't possible, mild spoilers for the FF7 remake, just mechanical commentary, but in the first hour of the game, you can't do that. There's enemies that are above you, and for whatever reason, if you try to target them with Cloud, he doesn't jump at them with his sword. It's like, you have to switch to Barret, because Barret has a gun. But then almost immediately after that, in the little, like, side quest section, you get all these enemies that this is the main way you're fighting them, is by doing these janky aerial combos. I think this is a me thing. I don't think this is a bad mechanic. I don't think that people who like this style of gameplay are wrong. I don't know why it feels icky to me. It's like a gameplay turnoff, right? Like having limited saves or limited lives or something. Here, really, I mean, it's possible I'm playing wrong. This is why I want to watch an S-rank speedrun of the game. Like, what does it look like for a badass who's really good at the game to play this? Are they just running up and going 1, 2, 3, 4 in the air? Or are they doing some, like, crazy swapping sub-weapons and going nuts with it? Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what it is they're like, hey, this is a way to melee in the air, otherwise we can't have flying enemies in the game because you'd never be able to reach them. Or we'd have to significantly buff your ranged attack so that you're able to deal with flying enemies, right? Got some bugs in the wall there, that's cool. Jomo Thumbs era. This game is such an interesting curiosity. I feel almost the same playing this as we did during RE6. Like, it's kind of a train wreck, but I can't look away from it. I'm interested to see what the next cutscene is going to be. Or that weird room with the light the blue flames, right? It's just like, what? That's what I had to do? Okay. I feel like you have to hit that thing like 20 more times more than you probably should have to, right? Like, the idea behind the orb is hit it without stopping. Fighting game analogy. Marvel vs. Capcom has air combo mechanics that let you continue in the air. Drop the opponent to the ground or cancel with a super move. It never feels like you're out of control, right? It's like a juggle, basically. Yeah, actually, Marvel vs. Capcom is a really good comparison. I know what you mean when you say aerial combos there. Also, I think it works better there because it's 2D, it's flat, right? So it's adding an extra dimension to your play. Yeah, you're probably right, Brutus. If you had some ability to bring them down with you... I mean, I guess the Final Fantasy VII Remake has that you can inflict stagger on them, and then once they get knocked onto the ground, then you can go ham with your ground abilities. So maybe you're just jumping up in the air and doing the air combos in the interest of staggering them, and, like, you're not actually intended to beat an enemy in the Final Fantasy VII Remake by just hitting them in the air over and over until their hit points. You're supposed to do something to them. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think there's two elements to it. I think, one, y'all are right that, like, this game's particular implementation of it is kind of bad. On top of it, I think seeing it in a game worries me. Like, I think it was part of the reason I was so prejudiced against Nier Automata. Because whenever you were in the running around meleeing mode, it was a lot of combat like this, of the cool air juggle. Orb and a full heal. Do they want me to, like, jump over something in here? There was no, like, switch. It looks like there's infinite enemies again. I'd say more than half of the rooms in this game have infinite enemies. Which I think that's going to lead a lot of players to just stop fighting the enemies, right? If they're never triggering chests to spawn or doors to unlock, bosses to appear. That combat games have boost jets, so let you stay in the air longer or control your descent better. Yeah, I guess if it was almost exactly the same, except I jumped in the air and then I held down a button to glide, and then I could attack while I was gliding slowly down to the ground, and I could control my rate of descent. The thing that Devil May Cry is doing that I think is innovative for the time, and that a bunch of brawlers copied, including games like God of War, is the idea that what's keeping you in the air is melee attacking an enemy. You're always descending a little bit, but each melee attack delays your descent a little bit more. I'm trying to remember, I haven't played the original God of War in a really long time, but if I recall correctly, it had some kind of, like, visceral, like, frame slowing effect. Like, whenever you would hit an enemy in the air like that, the whole game would slow down a little bit, adding to the sense of hitting. And also, if I recall correctly, a lot of the flying enemies that you were intended to combo in the air would generally be dead by the end of a combo. So it felt pretty decent to jump up and, like, whack a harpy in the face a few times. I'm just thinking out loud. I've never thought about it before. It just occurred to me today. It's probably comparable to someone that just, like, doesn't like cover shooters, for example. Doesn't have a particularly good reason for it. They just like the faster pace of something like Doom. Yeah. Often don't think about why we do things this way, right? It's like, yeah, you jump in the air and you attack, and it makes you stay in the air for longer. That's just how you do a spectacle brawler, right? I'm trying to remember if that was in God of War 2018. 2018, you're pretty earthbound. You don't really get in the air much at all. Okay. Cool eyeball. You can feel the movement of the demon world. There must be a way down there. Alright, so I gotta bust open this eyeball starfish by backtracking further and hitting more of the weird blue orbs that I have to hit like 10 too many times. Star you. Okay, I think these are just infinite mages again. I guess they make it harder for me to... This is why I left a note to myself, like, I left this note that said hold down right trigger to attack without targeting something. Like, that was one of the things I chose to say in my future Marstead notes. I'm like, that's such a weird, specific thing to say. Why would I tell myself that? Now I know. This room would be a nightmare without it, and it's already a nightmare even with it. Because whenever I try to attack the thing, my character moves forward with every melee attack. And it's on a ledge. Can I hit it with the... Nope, it has to be regular hits. I think I just need to not combo it. Can I do that? Seriously? The demon pulse has been released, and you will be able to reach the demon world. I love the text in this game. It's charming. I feel like 03 was around the time we were starting to get better about that kind of localization problem. It's the spider again. He's a pretty cool guy. Phantom. I do not want to be flying here. It's not helpful to me. Does he even have an attack? Okay, he occasionally claws at you. Just guessing because he's fire elemental, right? History of Juggles and Aircom was the first game to feature modern Aircom, but it was an old X-Men 2D fighting game called Children of the Atom. Interesting. So that was where the idea in Marvel vs. Capcom came from. At least the healing from Devil Trigger is pretty good. Don't worry. It's a cool attack. God, the grenade feels so bad to use. That was a little spider jump. Not just any ordinary human. The spider? C ranking. Yeah, right. They swarm like clouds and desperately seek the Protector's blood. A guidepost for the Protectors. Chapter 11. Clause 9. Alright. Fantastic. I just had to hit the eyeball one time. I need to turn this alarm off if I'm going to be starting at noon. It's my "you're going live in 10 minutes" dummy alarm. Okay, so do we think there are infinite enemies here, or do we think that there's a 3-minute timer to kill all the enemies? Like, the latter seems likely, but who knows with this game. Yes. There are infinite enemies, and you have to kill them all. Yeah. That's a good point. Be like if BioWare just like re-released Mass Effect Andromeda or something. There was a PC HD remaster of Sonic 06. They put at least a minimum amount of work into it. The game is widescreen, right? Now there's Abyss Goats, so the kind of enemies that are spawning are changing, so it tells me that I am supposed to kill them. I'm not even sure what the elements do. Do you think they're just like some enemies are weak against ice or whatever? Maybe there's like a freeze effect or anything like that. Teams are trying to do a Sonic 06 remix if it's what they can. Sounds interesting. I wonder if they could put together a complete product. Probably gonna fail the time check here. Come on! Bingo is their B word. The D is don't worry. I forget what it was in the first Devil May Cry. Oh my god. Or okay, there's a third thing. Maybe I'm supposed to wait for the timer to run out, and that's when I can get in? And it's just survive until then? Nope. Okay. Something else is happening here. I don't think it's kill all the enemies, although the enemies were changing as the fight progressed. Come on! I think these eyeballs have... No? They don't care. Yeah, I can't be sure because the tier of enemy last time did change as we were progressing, right? It started out with these guys, ended up being the Abyss Goats. I think beyond it just being 80s level design, it also kind of feels like whenever you play a Mario Maker level from a young kid and they're like, you know, oh, you're supposed to hit the eyeballs. I'm like, I was? How was I supposed to know that? Because you're supposed to. That's what you're supposed to do. That's how I made it, so you can beat the level. Like, okay. Alright, I am welcoming candidates. I am welcoming tips or people Googling it. Gateway to Hell Sarlacc Pit thing. What does the game want me to do? If it wants me to kill everything, I can do that. Nothing really else here to do in this room, right? Can't hit that thing. I already failed this attempt of its kill all the enemies because I wasted time at the beginning trying to like hit the eyeballs and stuff. Cool, thank you, generic. What is it? Kill them all? Okay. Yeah, that makes sense given that the enemy types are progressing. I feel like a way to fix this problem is to have some kind of indicator that tells you whether an enemy is respawning indefinitely, right? Because in this game they look basically the same. If it's an infinite respawn or an enemy that's just spawning because you've killed all of its buddies. Even do something like Castlevania's Red Skeletons, where it's just the same model that gets back up. The enemies despawn, but that one projectile was still alive. I've got it as 3 minutes here. Brontomancers. This is different than the enemies I fought last time. Last time I started with the skeleton guys and the birds. Ouch. Come on, guys. Excuse you. Okie dokie. This is great, Washu. Thanks for sharing this game. Alright, I'll try to get to another checkpoint. Sometimes they're super fast. Protector scales the skyscraper, believing in its own reason for existence. It's like Constantine, there's like a little elevator. It's a cool business hell world. Oh no, it's Final Fantasy VII. Wait, I can't tell from the perspective. This is just a circle? Okay. I thought maybe I was going upward. I had to walk close to the door to get that to trigger, and now they're enemies, okay. Let me try the lightning amulet. It only affects Devil Trigger though, right? Eat it, Mr. Bloodgoat. I think these guys are infinite. Which maybe suggests that I need to use Devil Trigger to fly, that sometimes is a thing. No, nothing up here. These guys seem to spawn forever, but maybe they don't. Nope. There were just exactly 8 of them. Kind of a cool camera angle. Level me up, please. I'm gonna go to a checkpoint here, so I might go over a little bit. Cutlassier. Probably should have at least one of these on me in case we get into another boss fight. Interesting that those get more expensive the more of them you already have. Whoops. I know, right? Jomo Thumbs, Ira. I'm gonna fight the enhanced version, Jomo Thumbs 401k. Does this game have both Ira Glass and Ira Flato as enemies? Have those two ever met and talked about that? Jotham Sroth. That time it was a finite number of enemies, okay. Not just a finite number of enemies, but a finite number of enemies that triggered a thing. Sacrilege. Generate distortion and bring the world closer to the demon world. Okay. I feel like if this game had no cutscenes, it would be easier to follow. You just kind of roll with it, like whatever. There's this girl and she's running through this building, and Dante's not here if I chose to play in the Lucia mode. Just go like full Hyperlife Drifter with it and remove all text. Right? Oromancers instead of Brontomancers. Oh, Jesus. I can't actually save this thing, can I? So I can save from anywhere. Alright. Future Marstead, you're in the middle of a confusing office building. Do your best. You have no idea whether enemies need to be killed in order to progress, or if they're infinitely respawning. Just try as well as you can to guess. The most important things for you to know, sometimes you have to press left bumper to trigger Devil Trigger for progression, for flying through the air. You have amulets you can swap out, so you can have one that lets you swim with Devil Trigger and one that lets you fly with Devil Trigger, which is sometimes used for progression. And by far the most important thing is hold down the right trigger in order to be able to attack without being locked onto something. Sometimes you have to do that to be able to open switches, or you're going to have a bad time. Thanks again, WashU. This game is wild. I'm happy to be seeing it. It gives me a lot of context for what was going on with Capcom at this time.